our live shoot. That's for the sunglasses catalog. And if you didn't watch the bonus clip that shows you the live shoot, well, here are the images that we did at a live shoot for a sunglasses catalog. We have both male and female models. They're here in the bridge, in the CS3 bridge. And so here's the male model with the sunglasses and the female model as well. And basically what we're going to do here is process some of these images. Now, we're in the bridge now. We're going to do a little bit in the bridge now, but we have a lot for the bridge later. It's just at this point, we're just going to focus on getting us to Camera Raw right away because, well, that's where the fun stuff is. Okay, so here we are. We're in the bridge. We've got these images. Let's go ahead and choose an image to open up. So let's just scroll down here, find an image that we like, maybe want to work on. Okay, how about like this one right here? Or actually even better, this one right here. All right, this image is a RAW image. It was shot in RAW format on my camera. So the bridge knows it's a RAW photo. If I were to double click on it, it opens up in Photoshop's version of RAW. Now, why do I say Photoshop's version of RAW? That's because both Photoshop and the bridge have Camera Raw built right into them. And they're exactly the same. Their functionality is identical. So why would I use Photoshop's and why would I use the bridge and what's the difference? Well, the difference is there really is no difference. They're identical. However, the reason why you might want to use the bridge's version of Camera Raw is when you have a lot of images to process. So let's say, for example, that you went through and you changed the white balance and the exposure and the shadows for like 375 photos. And you can tell it's going to take a while for this to get done. Well, what you can do is do that in the bridge. Set it to do all those changes and click OK. And while it's doing that, you can switch over to Photoshop and work on something completely different. So that way, while your bridge is tied up doing a lot of processing, you can still keep working in something else, Photoshop. That's the only difference. It's just there for your convenience. Two versions of Photoshop, of Camera Raw, they do the exact same thing. Now, let's go back. If I double click on the photo in the bridge, it opens up in Camera Raw. If I want to open it up in the bridge's version of Camera Raw, instead of double clicking, what I do instead is press Command R, as in RAW for Mac, or Control R on PC, and it opens up in the bridge's version. Now, how do I know this is the bridge's version of Camera Raw? Because it looks exactly the same. Take a look up here in the left corner and you'll see there it is, Bridge CS3. So that's how you open it up in the bridge's version of Camera Raw. Now, I mentioned in my introduction that you can open up JPEG images and TIFF images and RAW images all in Camera Raw, and we really want to do that because it's the easiest way, I think, to make your photos look great. So let's find a JPEG image. We have a JPEG image right over, where did it go? I know it's around here someplace. Right here. There it is. It's a JPEG image right there. You can see if you look at the name, it says .jpg, so it's a JPEG image. If I want to open that JPEG image, all I do is go under the File menu and actually just choose Open in Camera Raw. And now, even though it's a JPEG image, or it could be a TIFF image, now it opens in Camera Raw, and I can process it using all the same tools as I have for any RAW image. One last thing. I mentioned a moment ago that if you double-click, it opens in Photoshop's Camera Raw. If you press Command R, your RAW image opens up in the bridge's Camera Raw. But you actually have some control over that. If you go under the bridge menu over here, and you choose Preferences, not Camera Raw Preferences, the bridge's preferences right below it. It brings up the bridge's general panel here, and there's all these different little preferences. The preference that you want is under the general panel, and right under here under behavior. There's a checkbox that if you turn it on, it says double-click edits Camera Raw settings in the bridge. So what that means is if you never really want to use Photoshop's Camera Raw while you have the bridge open, if you now, with this on, when you double-click, it'll automatically open in the bridge's version of Camera Raw. Hope it doesn't sound confusing because a lot of people are freaked out by the fact that there are two Camera Raw. There is no right or wrong reason to use either one. It's just if you prefer to have processes going on in the background and you want to leave Photoshop free for something else, use the bridge's version of Camera Raw. So I prefer not to do that. I leave this turned off. But if you like it, just wanted to show you where it's at. And again, that's in the bridge's preferences and not in the preferences for Camera Raw. All right, so that's how you open RAW images and JPEGs or TIFFs. You can just use the Open in Camera Raw. And by the way, it also uses, just to make things a little more confusing, it also uses the same keyboard shortcut, Command R, and that's how you open those images. All right, so in just a moment, we're going to go ahead and open up our first images and start processing it. We're going to start by working on a RAW image. But I do want to tell you one thing before we go any further. There is only one difference between the way that RAW images are processed and JPEG images are processed in Camera Raw. There is one small difference, and we're going to talk about that next.